I am Satoru, a nearly 30-year-old loser whose life is nearly ruined. I used to be a manga artist at a company. Unfortunately, I was fired. With no other choice, I started working as a delivery man for a restaurant. However, I am no ordinary person. One day, while making a delivery, I felt something strange. Suddenly, time rewound a bit. This happened again. This is a supernatural phenomenon that I am too familiar with, and I call it revival. This phenomenon only occurs under one condition, when a disaster is about to happen. It's as if fate is warning me, sending me back 1 to 5 minutes to realize my mistake and prevent the tragedy before it happens. I looked around in confusion. What's going on? What do I need to stop? Just then, I noticed a truck speeding recklessly nearby. I immediately realized the driver had passed out, and the truck was speeding at maximum speed. Unfortunately, a child was crossing the road, completely unaware of the impending danger. I knew this was the disaster. The truck was about to hit the child. At the last second, I reached out and grabbed the steering wheel, swerving just a few centimeters, enough to save the child from certain death. However, before I could celebrate my success, another car coming from the opposite direction crashed into me. I was taken to the hospital, where my colleague Ari came to visit me. After staying with me for a while, she left. Fortunately, my injuries were not serious, so I was discharged from the hospital and returned home. There, I found my mother had prepared dinner and was taking care of me. As my mother watched TV, a news report about a child abduction appeared. This brought back an old memory, a memory from when I was in 5th grade. My mother turned to me and asked, "Do you remember that case? You were also in danger of losing your life then." I tried to recall, but at first I didn't remember much. However, as I thought about my mother's words all night, the memory resurfaced. My 2 childhood friends were abducted and murdered under mysterious circumstances. A young man named Yuki was framed, but his personality was not like that of a murderer. He was a kind-hearted person, someone who would never commit such a heinous crime. Nevertheless, he was arrested, and the case was closed. One day, while my mother and I were shopping at the supermarket, I experienced revival again. I immediately became alert and started looking for anything unusual around me. I even asked my mother if she noticed anything strange. She scanned the surroundings but found nothing until her gaze stopped at a suspicious-looking man, holding a little girl in a way that seemed unnatural, as if he was about to abduct her. As soon as the man realized he was being watched, he got scared and let go of the girl. However, he was not an easy target to get rid of. He started following me and my mother all the way home. My mother realized that the man knew our home address, but instead of being scared, she tried to memorize his face. Then, she suddenly realized something. She recognized those eyes. Her memory started to flood back until she fully recognized him. Without hesitation, she called someone she used to work with and said she needed to visit them because she had important information they needed to know. That night, as she was on her way home, determined to tell me the truth, she was suddenly attacked. A sharp blade pierced her chest. It was him, the criminal who had abducted and murdered children. He killed her on the spot, realizing she had discovered his true identity. When I returned home, I found the killer there, but I couldn't see his face clearly or recognize him. As I stepped inside, I shouted, "Mom, why did you leave the door open?" But the scene before me sent an electric shock through my entire body. My mother lay in a pool of blood, a knife deeply embedded in her. I screamed in horror, attracting the attention of the neighbors. But instead of helping, they assumed I was the killer. How could they be so foolish? How could they accuse me after everything I'd been through? The real killer was very cunning. He had reported the crime scene to the police, framing me for the murder of my own mother. The police arrived at the scene, but the crime had been meticulously planned, and the evidence was fabricated against me. I had no choice but to run. I couldn't believe what was happening. I had lost my mother, and now I was being accused of a murder I didn't commit. Suddenly, revival happened again. But this time, when I opened my eyes, I found myself back in my elementary school days. I had time traveled 18 years into the past. My God, why did I go back so far? There must be a reason, I started thinking, analyzing the situation around me. What brought me back here? What does this have to do with my mother's murder? Could the killer have been around all these years while I was in school? Then I realized the horrifying truth. The person who killed my mother was also the one who abducted and murdered the children. I also understood why my mother became a target. When my mother saw the man trying to abduct the little girl, she recognized him, and that led to her death. If I want to save my mother, I must stop the child abductions and put an end to the criminal's plan. That means changing the future. ensuring my mother will live. I started recalling memories from the past until I remembered a classmate named Ko. I clearly remembered that the series of child abductions began with her, but why was she targeted? I discovered that Ko was a lonely child with no friends, making her the perfect target for an abductor. Without hesitation, I approached Kaio, and through our conversation, I realized the girl was not just a quiet girl. She was enduring things no child should have to endure. With keen observation, I noticed bruises on her body, and I understood that she was being abused and beaten by her parents. Determined to protect Kaio, I decided to get closer to her to make the abductor no longer able to keep an eye on her. I invited her to my birthday party on March 2nd and asked, "Will you come?" She hesitated for a moment but finally agreed. I was determined to keep Ko safe. Therefore, I took it upon myself. The abduction started with Ko in March. I remember reading in the file that she was 10 years old at the time, while the other abducted children were 11. That meant only one thing. She was abducted before her birthday. This meant I needed to find Ko's exact birth date to determine the date she was abducted. I asked her directly, but she refused to tell me. I didn't give up, so I sneaked into the school's student records room to find her name and check her birthday. Just then, the teacher caught me and asked, "What are you doing here?" Trying to hide my actions, I replied, "There's nothing, sir. I just wanted to know Kaio's birthday." The teacher smiled and said, "I know you have a crush on her. Anyway, Kaio's birthday is on March 2nd. I was stunned. This meant Kaio's birthday was the same day as mine, and it also meant she would be abducted on March 1st. I had to protect her that day. After that, I decided to meet Yuki, the young man who was wrongly accused, to confirm that he was not the real killer. And indeed, I realized that Yuki could not possibly be the culprit. This only made me more determined to protect him from the wrongful accusations that awaited him. After that, I visited Ko at her home. But when I rang the doorbell, no one answered. I noticed footprints on the ground and a discarded bag in front of the door, which made me uneasy. Sensing something was wrong, I decided to climb in through the window of the adjacent room, and what I saw inside shocked and disgusted me. I saw Ko lying on the floor in a terrible condition. As I approached, the girl weakly said, "Don't come near me." Before I could handle the situation, her mother entered and coldly said, "What's wrong, Ko? Are you locking yourself in this room again, you brat?" I looked at her furiously and asked, "Why are you treating your daughter so cruelly?" Her mother replied indifferently, "Me? I didn't do anything to her. Ask her yourself." Ko looked at me with sad eyes and said, I just fell." Clearly, due to her mother's abuse, Ko had become a perfect target for the abductor. Anyone who saw the girl in this state would think she was an abandoned child, someone whose disappearance would not be noticed immediately. I was determined to save Ko, not only from the kidnapper but also from her mother. After observing the girl, I discovered that she was always late for school on Mondays. The reason was that her mother had abused her over the weekend, then tried to hide the bruises by delaying her return to school so no one would notice them. I went to see the teacher to report this, but I was shocked by his reaction. "You already knew, didn't you, son?" I asked, "If you knew, why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you protect her?" The teacher sighed and replied, "We can't do anything." It wasn't easy for us to interfere in the students' personal lives. We all knew Ko was always lonely. We had child welfare officers visit the girl many times, but she always managed to avoid them. But one day, we would rescue her from her mother. I went back to Ko and continued to spend time with her, talking with her, and making her feel less lonely. I started to feel like I was truly making a difference. I'm really changing the past, I thought. I remember being in this place before, but I was alone back then. This is proof that I'm changing the future. And finally, for the first time, I saw Ko smile. On Saturday, the day she was usually beaten, I went to her house and asked her mother, "Will she go on a field trip to the science museum with us?" "We're not going to play. We are going to learn," her mother replied coldly. "No, we have things to do at home." Then she turned to Ko and asked, "What do you think? Do you want to go?" For the first time, Ko defied her mother and said, "I want to go." Her mother got angry and was about to hit her. But just then, my mother appeared at the door and intervened. "Let the children go together," she said. "It's completely fine." Under increasing pressure, Ko's mother finally relented, and Ko went to the museum with me. We had a wonderful time together. However, during the outing, I suddenly had a strange feeling. These events seemed familiar. Am I repeating the mistakes of the past? No, I can't give up. I have to keep trying. At the end of the day, everyone returned home, and everything seemed fine. The fateful day, March 1st. On this day, I didn't leave Kaio's side for a single moment. When the day ended without anything happening, I felt a wave of relief and joy. I did it. I prevented the girl's kidnapping. I am truly changing the future. On March 2nd, we celebrated my birthday, which was also Kaio's birthday. We had a wonderful time with our friends, playing, laughing, and enjoying the moment. After that, one by one, everyone went home. But the next morning, when I arrived at school, I was shocked. Kaio wasn't there. A wave of horror washed over me, and I rushed to her house, but she wasn't there. Soon after, her disappearance was officially announced. I fell into shock. What? Everything I did was in vain. I thought I had changed the day she was kidnapped, so why was she still taken? And then similar tragic events happened again. More children were kidnapped. Yuki was falsely accused and detained as before. At that moment, I was pulled back to the present. Nothing had changed. My mother still came and went. I was still on the run from the police. Kaio had disappeared. The only difference was that the date of her disappearance had changed from March 1st to March 3rd. But I refused to give up. As I was running, my colleague Ari appeared and saved me. She looked at me resolutely and said, "I know for sure you didn't kill your mother. Someone must have framed you." Then she added, "Don't worry. I'll go home and bring you some clothes and food. You stay here and don't move." But when she got home, she encountered a worrying surprise. A message arrived on my mother's phone, but it wasn't from my mother. The phone was in the killer's hand. The message read, "Don't move." The blood in Ari's veins seemed to freeze. When she opened the door, thick smoke filled the air. Flames were consuming the house. The air became suffocating, and Ari began to lose consciousness. I rushed to save the girl and found her there. Along with my father, he said to me, "Leave her to me. Run, Satoru. I'll save her. Don't put yourself in danger." As I ran away, the girl secretly put her phone in my pocket without my knowledge. After escaping, I discovered the phone and realized that the killer was the same person who had done this to her. Oh no, things were getting worse and worse, and I no longer understood what was happening. I decided to find the man my mother had spoken about, the killer or kidnapper. I asked him, "What exactly did my mother say to you?" The man replied, "She had discovered the name of the child kidnapper, but unfortunately, she never told me." I decided to meet her to discuss the case. But it seemed the kidnapper had been following her and killed her before she could reveal his name. If only she had told me. Meanwhile, Ari was in the hospital recovering from minor injuries. She wanted to come to me, but the police were watching her. She told her mother everything, and her mother decided to help. She disguised herself and took Ari's place, giving Ari a chance to escape the hospital. Ari called me, and we met. She said, "I've come to warn you about a suspicious man who met my father earlier and met with him. His name is Nishizono." But I replied, "There's no one with that name on the suspect list. We're definitely using a fake name." I had reached the peak of mental exhaustion and could no longer organize my thoughts. I said to her, "Stay away from this case, Ari. I don't want you to get hurt because of me anymore. Thank you, but that's enough." Suddenly, the police raided. The police had been following Ari and surrounded us, successfully arresting me. Ari started crying, saying, "I'm sorry. I didn't know they were following me. It's my fault." But I reassured her, "It's okay, Ari. I still believe you." As I was being escorted away, I saw the killer standing in front of me, smiling maliciously while hiding his face. At that moment, I tried to activate my ability to go back in time, muttering, "Go back. Please go back just this once." And indeed, I returned to the past, finding myself at the Science Museum with Kaio 2 days before the kidnapping. I couldn't believe I was back. Filled with joy, I said, "This time, I won't fail. I have to protect her and change the future." I rewound the sequence of events until Christmas Day, the day Kaio was supposed to be kidnapped. I decided to act and said to my friends, "I'm going to the school to pick up something, and I'll be right back." I went to Yuki's house and created a suspicious scene, causing the police to intervene and divert suspicion away from him. After that, I met my friend Kenya and asked him for help in turning Kaio's mother over to the police. Christmas ended and I took Kaio with me and said, "Listen, I'm going to kidnap you. Do you agree?" The girl replied, "Okay, no problem." I took Kaio to an abandoned old bus near the school, prepared a place for her, and brought some blankets and food. Everything was going smoothly. The first day passed peacefully, and I had started changing the future. But suddenly, Kaio heard footsteps approaching the bus. It wasn't me. It was the killer. The girl held her breath in fear. The killer placed his bag inside the bus, and left without noticing anyone was there. It turned out this was the killer's hideout. Oh no, we had stumbled into the lair of the evil culprit. The next day, Keo told me and my friends everything that had happened. We opened the bag and found the killer's tools inside. I was shocked. We're right in the killer's playground. We have to get out of here immediately, they asked. Where to? I replied. Follow me. I took them to my house. My mother, surprisingly, smiled and said, What's going on? Did you kidnap the girl? I replied, Didn't you tell me not to leave her alone? My mother welcomed us and took care of the girl as her own daughter. Keo was extremely touched and burst into tears as she felt such kindness. After that, my mother took the girl home. However, Keo's mother did not accept the situation and said, Did you kidnap my daughter? I'm calling the police. They replied, Who should be reporting whom? If you cared so much about the child, why didn't you look for her for 3 whole days? Or were you just talking? She angrily shouted. How dare you? Are you blaming me too? Then she lunged and tried to hit them, but her daughter stepped in to protect them. She corrected her daughter, and as soon as she was about to hit them one more time, she realized it was a trap for her. In the end, the woman had to face the consequences of her actions. Child Protective Services intervened and gained custody of Keo, taking away parental rights from the girl's mother. Thus, I not only saved Keo from her abusive mother, but also saved the girl from being kidnapped, successfully changing her future. But is that the end? Not yet, buddy. There are still other students in danger, and one of them is my friend, which makes it easier for me to protect him by staying by his side. However, the bigger problem is the second girl, Aya, who attends a completely different school and has no connection to me or my friends. Kenya noticed my worry and asked, What's wrong? Aren't you trying to save Keo from her mother? We've already done it. So what are you thinking now? I replied, Actually, I'll tell you, but don't tell anyone. My goal isn't just to save her from her mother. I'm protecting her from a kidnapper and murderer. Kenya was shocked. What? You think this person will stop at Keo? I shook my head. No. There are still other people we need to protect, including Aya. Kenya couldn't believe it and said mockingly, What kind of morning nonsense is this? Are you a detective without telling us? But in the end, he decided to help, saying, All right, let's see how far this lie goes. I started trying to befriend Aya and persuade her to join our group. I finally succeeded and the girl became our friend, which means I have protected all the targeted students. Kenya then asked me, Is it over now? I replied, No. The killer won't give up that easily. He will look for another child to kidnap, and I need to find out who the next victim will be. After thinking, I reasoned that the next target would be a lonely child, just like Keo was before. There was only one girl who fit that description, Misato. I started following Misato and noticed that she went to watch a match of her class. I followed her, but she went into the restroom. I waited outside. The girl was in there for too long. As I was waiting for her to come out, I was startled when a teacher approached and asked, What are you doing here, Satoru? Are you done with Keo? And now, following Misato, I tried to explain. No, I was just waiting for her to come out of the restroom. But the teacher only pointed at Misato, who had already left, and said, She's the one. So who were you waiting for? I looked outside and saw a small truck from the Yuki family. I immediately realized that the girl had been kidnapped. I desperately begged the teacher to help me chase the truck. The teacher agreed, and we chased after it. But on the way, the teacher started talking strangely. Then he said, I will tell you a dangerous secret. This truck is not actually mine. At that moment, I realized the horrifying truth. The teacher was the killer. He knew everything about the students and planned everything meticulously. When he noticed me constantly interfering with his plans, he decided to eliminate me. I was completely shocked to realize that everything was a trap to catch me. The teacher was the one who told Misato about the match, the one who drugged her drink, forcing her into the restroom. All the clues led to one thing, the killer's true identity. But it was too late. The teacher had trapped me in the car and was sinking it into the river. As I was sinking, I clung to hope and said to the teacher, I know your future, and you will need me. I will return to finish you. Then, I sank completely. 15 years passed, while I remained in a deep coma due to the accident. It turned out the teacher didn't kill me because he felt he needed me. He was even affected by my words when I said I knew his future. During those years, my mother never abandoned me and continued to take care of me until I finally woke up. However, I woke up with no memory, remembering nothing but my name. My memories were hazy and unclear. Friends started visiting me, including Kenya. My mother told them not to force me to remember the past. Don't force him. The boy will regain his memory on his own. Ko also came to visit me, revealing that she had gotten married and even had a child. When I saw her, I couldn't hold back my tears. She was the girl whose life I had sacrificed everything to save. She gratefully thanked me, saying, "Thank you, Satoru, for protecting me. I am eternally grateful for pulling me out of the darkness I used to live in." When I touched the child's hand, my memories started to return. I realized that I had not only saved Ko, but also my friends. Suddenly, I remembered the whole truth. The killer was the teacher. I returned to the room to start physical therapy so I could walk. After all, it was natural that I couldn't move after 15 years of being bedridden. However, thanks to my strong determination, I recovered at a speed that even doctors couldn't believe. A while later, the teacher came to visit me and asked, "Don't you remember me?" I pretended to still have amnesia and replied, "No. Who are you?" Feeling relieved, the teacher started talking, trying to subtly question me about my past, but I continued to pretend to have lost my memory. Therefore, the teacher finally left. After that, I decided to visit a sick child, but on the way, I happened to meet the teacher, who asked to accompany me. Instead, the teacher led me to the rooftop and suddenly asked sharply, "You've regained your memory, haven't you? You've been lying to me all this time," but I didn't show any fear. The teacher continued, "I know you are holding a grudge against me. Hand over the phone. Stop playing games with me. You are my teacher." It turned out the teacher had tampered with the sick child's blood, mixing it with a chemical substance. The fingerprints on the bag belonged to me. Therefore, if the child dies, I will be blamed for the crime and sent to prison. But I laughed dismissively and said, "Do whatever you want. I have nothing left to lose in this world. I have saved all the people I love, and I don't want anything else." Then I suddenly rushed to the edge of the rooftop, ready to jump down. "I'll jump now, and you'll be forced to take responsibility for the blood." The teacher was shocked and asked, "How on earth did you know my plan?" I laughed dismissively and replied mockingly, "I know everything that happened and everything that will happen. Simply put, I have completely destroyed your future, and you cannot live without me." Then I threw myself off the rooftop, but as I predicted, the teacher rushed forward at the last second to grab me. I was sure that he couldn't live without me. If the teacher truly wanted to kill me, he would have done it long ago. Even while I was in a coma, deep down, the teacher was haunted by me. At that moment, the teacher realized there was no way out and said, "I can't let you live any longer. You will kill me and end your life." And indeed, he let me go and prepared to jump after me, saying, "I have no place left in this world. I will die with you." But as soon as he looked down, he realized he had fallen into the biggest trap of his life. I had foreseen everything. I had coordinated with my mother and friends who were waiting below the building and prepared a huge safety net for me to land safely. Finally, the teacher realized his time was up. He was arrested, and life returned to normal once again. I not only survived, but also changed the tragic future that awaited me. I even became a famous manga artist, achieved great success, and proved my talent. One day, I returned to the place where I first met Eri, and there I met her once again. Of course, she didn't recognize me, but the way she spoke and everything about her was exactly as I remembered. So ends a journey full of thrilling and extraordinary events, an emotional and dramatic story that deeply affected Satoru and completely changed the course of his life. Let's look forward to other exciting and unique summaries. My story ends here. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching the entire video, and see you again.